Shaelan Bowers.
Yeah.
Welcome, buddy.
Thank you.
You had a question about why it's called Poop Dollar.
Yeah.
Explain to you. It's a
You did.
practical joke.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds fucking horrible. All right, who's poop this time? My phone. Anything related to shit.
Did you hear that's what Amber Heard did to Johnny Depp?
Dropped a grumpy onto the bed. It was a tough couple of days.
I tried not to watch that. I really tried not to watch that because I don't know, man. I think the whole thing is just like, I think they're both like really fucked up people. And yeah, it's hard, dude. People need to be able to speak out about what happened to them. Being able to sue anyone for anything is just bullshit. Yeah. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
It's just like that is like, that's what we've devolved to, is where like you can sue anyone for anything, which is just like,
yeah, but that's not new. It's something that's been happening since McDonald's spilled hot
I know
coffee,
that wasn't
right?
even, and that was fucking, and like I think it was a law class I think I had in college where they were like, the law professor was like, that was a legit lawsuit. Did you ever hear this? Like the PR team at McDonald's tried to like play that down. It like fried the skin on her fucking legs, dude.
Yeah.
Like it really happened.
Right.
Like she was severely injured. It was way too fucking hot.
Yeah.
Because they're, they have the PR team and the fucking lawyers and, money always wins, right?
Yeah,
So ever since, she's been this person, whoever filed that lawsuit has been like dragged through the mud. Like, oh, it's a fucking like meaningless. It's like, no, that was legit.
Yeah. I mean, I asked you today if you wanted a coffee.
Right.
Hot coffee or cold coffee?
I said iced coffee.
Yeah.
Because I don't want, fucking, I'm ready to sue you at any time. I'll sue anybody. I don't care. See, I'm sitting here demonizing lawsuits, but hey, man, I want to live in a nice house in the South Bay, which is where we are right now.
Yeah, buddy.
I would love to live in a nice house in the South Bay, and I feel like the only way that that's going to happen for me is if I sue somebody. So I'm just going to have to, get out there and what I really need to do is anger someone in a Tesla.
Yeah.
On the road.
Yeah.
I need to get them so angry. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I have no plan, but I need to get them so fucking angry that they want to like ram me with their car.
Right.
Can you imagine getting someone that mad that they're willing to like ram you with their $100,000 car?
I think if you're just a rapper that dates like those hood rats, those type of girls tend to do that sort of stuff.
Hood rats.
Yeah.
Oh God. I haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah.
I haven't seen you
since before the pandemic.
Yeah, it's been years.
Yeah. Probably after your marriage.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
My 5.5 month long marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's wild.
Yeah.
Where did you meet her?
We met on set. We met working on a short film.
Yeah. See, so
promised me. He promised me working. No, I don't care.
If Johnny Depp would have warned you earlier, hey, don't date actresses, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm lonely, so I'll date anybody.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
I'll date
at least
actresses.
we know,
I don't care.
with
listening.
The female comedians that we know they're crazy already. I think actors,
everybody
tend to like hide it.
Yeah, we're all kind of crazy in our own. We're all kind of crazy in our own way. I guess what's different is that we, as comics, we kind of just wear it on our sleeve a little bit.
Yeah,
we get on stage and we're like, hey, I'm fucking crazy.
Yes.
Hey, take me as I am.
Right.
But they don't pay attention. People don't pay attention to that. Like they don't pay attention to what you're saying on stage. Generally, they're just like, oh, you have enough confidence to be on stage. That's attractive. You're like, did you not just hear all of the like 15 minutes of just crazy shit that came out of my mouth? Yeah. Did you not pay any attention to any of that stuff? I used to say that, and I hit the mic. I used to say that. I used to think like, man, if someone listens to me do my set and then they want to date me, that's not gonna go anywhere. That's not a great idea. Like really, legitimately, it's just not a good. It's not going to go anywhere good.
Well, like you said, I mean, comedians, we put it all out there.
Yeah.
And we speak our truth, and
yeah,
if that's somebody, someone sees that and wants to date you afterwards, do you blame them for that?
I think we're connecting on the wrong things. That's what I think.
Yeah.
I think we're connecting on the wrong things. I don't think we're connecting on what we should be. I've realized, I mean, I've just had kind of this epiphany about this because we talked about this. I just spent almost 5 weeks in Italy. Just got back last week.
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno.
Or how do you say,
Grazie.
what's more like a good evening? What would they say? Because buongiorno is good morning, right?
Buonasera.
Buonasera.
Buonasera. But it's weird. Like you say, you say things that are, when you say like buonasera or buonanotte, it's like the idea is I'm going to go home now and I'm going to go to sleep.
Oh, okay.
Right. So you say to somebody like good night.
Oh.
It's like there's a connotation with that.
Yeah, I see.
So what I would usually say is like buon giornata, which is like have a good rest of the day.
Oh, okay.
So we're continuing with our day.
Yeah.
Our day is not over. So
Yeah,
buon giornata, like we're continuing with our day. And one thing that I learned, it's hard to learn another language when you're older, but I've been learning Italian for many years. But when you say, so we're used to like ciao is like a thing, but ciao is it's super informal, right? It's like yo,
Yeah.
like what's up?
Yeah, yeah.
So you wouldn't walk into even here in the States, I wouldn't walk into a restaurant or a cafe and be like, yo, to the proprietor, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be weird.
Yeah.
You'd say hello.
Right.
And so hello is like salve,
Yeah.
salve, like hello.
Oh.
You know, it's like more, I don't know you.
Right.
We've never met before.
Right.
Hello.
Yeah, yeah.
As opposed to like if I saw you,
Yeah.
like ciao, you know? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
hey,
Yeah.
we have a relationship.
Right, right. Oh,
You know.
okay. I see.
But it's very common for Americans,
Right.
you know, the ciao, because
Right.
that's the thing.
And then you probably wouldn't say that to an older woman, right? Or an older gentleman.
No, it'd be like, salve signore, and,
Yeah.
signora. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I did call a signora by mistake once, and, nothing happened, thank God.
Oh, yeah.
He was old, he couldn't fight.
Well, nowadays, it's appropriate,
Yeah.
LGBTQ.
Yeah, right.
They're going by the.
I think that, it was very cool being there and seeing how lots of people just very, very supportive of the things that, kind of the way that we're changing as a culture here in the United States. A lot of support for that, which was nice to see. You think, I'll admit, to some degree, I imagined that they would be a little bit, we certainly don't have America can't really stand on a high horse right now about anything, but I imagine that like it would be a little, when it came to social issues, they'd be maybe a little bit behind in certain ways. And no, not at all. Not at all. I think, it is you were just there as well. We were there at the same time,
Yeah,
actually.
That's wild.
Yeah.
It's wild. Did
Yeah.
you do any stand up over there?
No, I haven't done any stand up in, no, you know what? I did a little bit last week. I did some right when I got back, and I was super fucking jet lagged, and there was no reason for me to be on stage at all. I couldn't even think to get back. But on the way there, when I got there, I really didn't have a problem with jet lag. But it's,
Same here.
but it's mental,
Yeah.
right? You get
No,
there and you're like,
excited.
you're excited.
Yeah.
You're going to see shit. You're going to do
Yeah.
things. You're like, I
Yeah.
don't care.
You're speaking Italian.
Right.
Yeah.
Out there, embarrassing yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you dreamt in Italian yet?
Have I what?
Have you dreamt in Italian?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Every once in a while. Yeah. It's weird. Like, I'll admit, I had some moments there. I was trying to speak Italian as much as possible. And there were moments where sometimes people they just don't, look at it like this. Imagine somebody was trying to speak Spanish with you, right?
Yeah.
And their Spanish was like, okay,
Yeah.
but not great,
Yeah.
but it was kind of not good.
Yeah.
And you would probably say to them, like, hey, can we just speak in English? Because my English, you'd probably say to this person, I imagine,
Yeah.
my English is better than your Spanish.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
easier if we're going to if we're going to talk about something,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's probably better that we just speak in English.
Yeah.
Right. So I had that experience many times where I would be speaking in Italian and
Yeah.
they're just like, you know what? I don't want to like fuck around like with,
Yeah.
you're Italian. Like, let's just, what is it that you need?
Right.
Especially in like the service industry.
Yeah.
Cause there's no time, like, and that's
Right.
on me. Like,
Yeah.
there's no fucking time, right? They're like, listen,
Yeah.
There's 7 people behind you.
Right,
Like, what the
right.
fuck do you need?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, tell me what you need
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
then go away.
Right.
Right. As opposed to like I'm like, kind of slowly just,
Yeah.
going through.
Right.
No. They're like, especially in the north, like in Florence, they were like,
They weren't
they're
having
like,
it.
no, don't give a shit.
But I think, well, besides them having to get back to their 4 other tables that they're waiting on,
Right.
I think that they want to practice their English.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's some of that too. I mean,
Yeah.
it's hard not to take it personally
Yeah.
when you say something because this would have, when I ask a question or I say something in Italian and then they respond in English, it's kind of like, it kind of hurts.
Yeah, yeah.
It hurts a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, then again, it was my own fault for wearing a fucking baseball cap. You know what I mean? That's what I get. You're like, oh, clearly you're American.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's interesting in the dress too, right? Because I'm, my parents are both from California. I'm from California. I lived here my whole life.
Yeah.
We don't realize, as have you, like we don't realize that the way that we are and the way that we dress as like native Californians is much more casual than even the fucking East Coast.
Yeah.
I met a girl from New York and she moved from New York to California and she's like, in back East, if, she was talking about going on dates. She's like, if I go on a date, generally go on a date with a guy, like they're going to wear a collared shirt. Like they're going to put a little bit of effort into their appearance. Right. She said, when I was dating guys here, it was just like, they're just rolling into the bar in their fucking sandals. And it's just like, that's California.
Yeah.
Right.
They got some seaweed in their hair.
Yeah, exactly.
Riding some waves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've got the board in their truck. It's just like, but we don't realize that. And I remember getting told shortly before I left, there was a woman who told me, Italian woman that lives here. And she's like, she was giving me advice and talking to me about everything. And she's like, dress like a man, not a boy. And I was like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, what do you like, like, don't like wear, like put a little bit of effort into your appearance. Yeah. Don't just throw a t-shirt on and call it good. Uh-huh. And funny enough, like the only time I got any attention from women was, I think, the last day that I was there, and I brought one collared shirt, and I put the collared shirt on, and I didn't wear a hat. Yeah. And that was the only time. Wow. Yeah. Wow. So it's a thing. Yeah. It's a fucking thing. Right. Yeah. They want a guy who's like, give a shit. Yeah. And you were like, F it, I'm not going to conform to this. I'm just going to continue being me. So you wore your ball cap all the time. Sure. And just... See, and I made a compromise on the ball cap too, because I didn't wear the cap I wore didn't say anything on it. Oh, okay. It was just a plain cap. Okay. Yeah. Which that was a compromise for me. You know me, dude. Yeah. My caps like say shit. Yeah. Like the one I'm wearing right now. That has my fucking initials on it. I didn't make this hat. So, I didn't make the hat. This is a Nike skateboarding hat, and my initials happen to be Shaelan Bowers. So, So you're saying if I wear a sombrero, but it's not, it doesn't have any logo to it, then it's okay. Hey, that's okay. Yeah. You can get away with that. That's all right. That's fine. You can do that. Yeah. Yeah. It was interesting to find out that you were over there at the same time. And, having your first time in Italy. Yeah. 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 It was wild. Yeah. My second time in Europe. Same. Second time in Europe. First time in Italy. Yeah. 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 Real interesting, beautiful place. I actually, I hiked the path. So the Path of the Gods, which is this amazing hike that you take from, I'm not wealthy, by the way. Anyone who's like, not what this is, I did this trip super on a budget. I've been saving for years. Didn't go anywhere. Like, this is not go fuck off in Italy for a month. Like, no, this took a lot of planning, a lot of saving. I've been learning the language, like it meant something to me. Yeah. It was important to me. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, there were times I got a little bit judgy because there are areas that you go to, like Amalfi, like the Amalfi Coast, for instance, and Positano, which is like Positano is like the main town in the Amalfi Coast. Tons of Americans, tons of people like, oh, I don't know, I don't want to go do that thing, but just like snooty, well-to-do, and I found myself being And it's not fair, right? Like I found myself in the moment being like, I was so annoyed by other Americans. I'm just like, fucking Americans, sitting here like me being an American myself.
Right.
And just being super judgmental about these other Americans that are there just getting drunk. And it's just like, well, I mean, my experience, like I'm here because I'm here to basically like, see the sights and go to museums and practice the language and do all this stuff. And it's like, oh, I'm doing that. Like, I'm like, look how much, better I am.
Yeah.
You're just sitting at a bar on the beach getting fucked up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's like, I've been that guy.
Yeah.
We've all been that. We've all been that person.
Right.
Right. So it's like, who the fuck am I?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just like, this is my experience.
Right.
That's your experience. That's cool.
Yeah.
If I had the money, I would charter a boat and fucking do all the shit that you're doing too. You know what I mean? Like there's like, that's cool.
Right.
You got the money to do that stuff? Fucking fantastic.
Especially after the pandemic, it just totally, I mean, hey, we get to travel again. That's a blessing.
Totally.
You know what I mean? It's like when, for a time, we're like, are we ever going to be able to travel again? Like it was crazy.
Yeah. No, I get that, and one of my friends, like, thankfully she checked me and she's like, don't like people, people want to go on a vacation and cut loose,
Yeah.
Not everyone is going to museums and putting their hands behind their back and, not everyone's doing that. That's not everyone's experience. Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, so, but yeah, it was great. It was great. And then, we were kind of talking earlier. I mean, so how's you've been doing lots of stand up even,
No. The pandemic really, kind of, I guess you got to just deal with what we have before us, but, we got into comedy, and we had this certain idea of what it was going to be like and why we got into it, and stuff like that. And telling jokes with people with masks on that's not what I signed up for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and not only that, it's like we were the redheaded stepchild of, society. Everything opened up before comedy clubs.
Yeah.
I mean, strip clubs opened up before strip
I know,
clubs.
right?
You know what I mean? Like
it's crazy.
It was crazy. It was like, like, okay, now it's like so-and-so could open your laundromats and this and that.
Yeah.
And the very last things to open were comedy clubs. And then you couldn't go in there without showing your vaccination card. So it's just like the amount of respect that was shown to us and our craft and what we do, man, it was just kind of like a spit in the face, man.
Yeah.
And, it's just, not only did we not, get to do what we love doing, but it's changed, forever, and then now, with the, Chris Rock thing and the, Dave Chappelle thing, it's just, we're being constantly disrespected, dude. And it's just like, nobody feels sorry for us if we speak up, dude. You know what I mean? Nobody's on our side. It's a fucking, like I said, we're the redheaded stepchilds, dude. No one cares.
You have to try to it's your responsibility to try to, as an audience member or a consumer, whatever you want to call it, as somebody who's consuming comedy in whatever way you are. It's on you to determine whether or not the person who is saying what they're saying is being, I don't know the best way to put this, is if this is a true reflection of who they are. Now, I'm going to kind of contradict myself a little bit in saying that unfortunately, we live in a time now where people are taking jokes and they're taking them and using them as a motivation to do really ugly things and say really ugly things. And I think that it's worse now. I mean, I'm only 40, right? I can't speak about what was happening in the 70s and 80s and, but I think that there's responsibility on both sides. I think the responsibility of the consumer is to go like, okay, is this a person that really means what they're saying? Is this a reflection of who they are as a human being, or is this a joke? That's and even for me, that's my responsibility. It's on the performer's responsibility to do the best they can to make sure that what they're saying cannot be used in a way that other people are going to get hurt. Yeah. It's hard, it's hard. Like this is it's a tightrope walk, man. It really is. It's a tightrope walk. But for me, like I'll use an example. Like I used to love Russell Brand. I loved Russell Brand, dude. I was a huge fan of Russell Brand for a long time.
Yeah.
Now he's become this fucking wacko conspiracy theorist, fucking nutcase who titles his videos these things that are just very inflammatory. And he's a very smart man.
Yeah.
He knows that whether or not what he's saying is true is irrelevant. People are going to take what he's saying as the truth, and they're going to use it to act out and do certain things. And he knows that. So be responsible enough. You're a smart guy. Be responsible. Understand that what you're saying, like putting out videos, like I'm not going to like say, that whatever, this person was right about this thing, which is debatable, but regardless, that there are people that are reading the title of your video, watching your video, not even watching the whole thing, because like that's the thing too. People will click on a YouTube video, and not watch the entire thing. They'll watch a little bit of it, right?
Right.
So even if you paint a clear picture in your 15-minute long video of what you're trying to say, choosing their words wisely, and that's all it is.
Yeah.
And feel free to disagree with me, but that's all it is. It's that simple. Choose your words wisely.
Yeah.
And these are very smart, articulate people.
Yeah.
They can do that. It's not that fucking hard.
Yeah.
Why are you not choosing your words carefully?
So you're not a fan of his show then?
God, no. No.
But you were a fan of his stand-up.
I was a fan of his stand-up. I was a fan of his movies. I was a fan of him in general. He is a very articulate, he remains a very articulate, intelligent person. Yeah. He remains that.
Yeah.
I think he's become wildly irresponsible with what he's doing and what he's saying. Wildly irresponsible. It's disappointing.
Yeah.
He can do whatever he wants. I mean, like, who the fuck am I? Like, like he's Russell Brand. He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
But I do think that we have a responsibility to one another. We do. We do. We have a responsibility to one another. And I think that like comedy is part of that, I think that we're shining light on things that maybe people don't talk about all the time and maybe people feel uncomfortable with, right? Like we come out here, I mean, perfect example, like we come out here and you're like, hey man, like how's it been going since your divorce, right? It's like fucking, who cares? Right? We can talk about that shit.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Right.
Whereas like, but there are people who would be like, oh, well, like that's we can't do that. Like, who cares, man?
Right.
We have to be able to talk about these things.
Yeah.
In a responsible fashion.
Right. Yeah.
I
agree.
So that's all it is.
Is there anyone that you see that is doing that?
I don't want this to be like a, like Republican Democrat kind of a thing, but I think that I'm a huge Stephen Colbert fan. I think Stephen Colbert is he's very sober, he's very responsible.
Yeah.
He is able to talk about things that are uncomfortable and make it through with his dignity and with his integrity.
Yeah.
And I really respect him for that. He's one of the few people that I watch that is able to do that. He rarely points fingers at people and goes like, you're bad, you're wrong.
Yeah.
He talks about the thing, whatever the thing is. And that's what we should be doing. We should be talking about the thing, because that's the only way that we're going to be able to do that. It's important that we have people that can articulate their feelings without being super emotional and super reactionary.
Yeah.
Especially people that are in public. That's just like, it's kind of that stiff upper lip a little bit, but deliver the message. You can deliver the message. You can say how you feel, but you can say how you feel in a responsible way.
Yeah.
In a way that's not a fucking dog whistle or whatever.
Yeah.
That's what I think. Even though you didn't ask me, I'm going to tell you what I think anyway.
That's why you're here, buddy.
That's why I'm here.
Speak your truth.
Yeah.
I haven't seen you since probably 6 months before the pandemic. I mean, have you gotten it?
I did. Yeah, I did. I got it once.
Before or after the vaccine?
After the vaccine, before the booster.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you got the booster. Were you happy that you got the booster?
Yeah. You know, I have two things that really fucking annoy me about the whole situation that are coming up a lot recently, is that we were already trashing this fucking planet, right? There was already way too much trash. And there's always a point where shit becomes a capitalistic venture, right? There's a point where it's like legitimate, and then there's a point where like capitalism comes in and takes control. And so you have all of these, when you go, and you know, because you're an actor too, like you work on productions and they're like, you come and you have your mask and then they make you switch your mask out for a different mask. So hundreds of masks every day in the fucking trash. I'm gonna wear it. I'm gonna wear it. And I've been very supportive of that from the beginning. What I don't like is creating all of this trash. That is a big thing for me. You know, we're already fucking destroying the planet.
Yeah.
I'm not buying 25. I have the one that I'm wearing.
Right.
There's never been a point where I've gotten on a train or a bus or gone into a classroom or gone into anywhere where there are lots of people and not worn a mask. It's not about me.
Yeah.
You know, and I think we'd be a lot better off as human beings if we could like repeat that to ourselves every fucking day.
Yeah.
It's not about me.
Yeah. What do you think about the Chris Rock and Will Smith incident?
I think it was you're going to get a bunch of angry comments. I think it was a PR stunt.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Because I think the next day Chris Rock was like promoting his special.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And I think, and if it wasn't a PR stunt, that's my initial thought. If it wasn't a PR stunt, I think that Will Smith is a deeply troubled individual.
Yeah.
Who I think somebody talked about this right when it happened, the day it happened, and was like, it feels like they are in the two of them. And, you know, again, I'm not pointing a finger at one person or the other. It feels like they're in a very dysfunctional relationship.
Yeah.
However it's dysfunctional, I mean, who's to say? I don't have any idea. I'm not, I'm not friends with these people, but it feels like they're in a dysfunctional relationship. And I think when you're in as somebody who, as you so generously pointed out at the beginning of this fucking podcast about my divorce, as somebody who was in a dysfunctional relationship, I think that like, sometimes like you can just, not just one, I've been in several in my life, but you can just kind of like, sometimes you just can kind of lash out. There are things that you maybe want to say and you just feel for whatever reason you can't say them or whatever. And yeah, so, I mean, it made me feel very, I just feel sorry for everyone. I feel sorry for Chris Rock. I feel sorry for him and, for Jada and like their whole relationship and everything like that. I mean, I don't think that, and obviously making fun of people's medical conditions is that's a little far. I had an experience, I think right before I left. I was doing a show and I have a condition. I have an autoimmune thing called Raynaud's phenomenon, which is it's a circulation issue in my hands and feet. I posted a picture on my Instagram a couple of days ago. I was in Costco and like my fingers will just turn like white and I can't grip, and it just, if they get cold.
Yeah.
Right? I was doing a show and it was really cold in the room. And so I have these, they're convertible mittens, right? So they look like fingerless gloves, but then you can, you've seen those before, right? And you can kind of like unbutton this and then pull it over the top and then they become mittens, right?
Yeah.
So I was wearing those and then Ben Gonzalez was like, oh, look at this. I was hosting the show and he's like, oh yeah, fucking Shaelan up here wearing his fingerless gloves. I was like, and I came back up and I'm like, hey man, two things. First of all, they're fucking convertible mittens. They're not fingerless gloves. And the second thing is I have a medical condition. So you're an asshole making fun of someone's medical condition.
Do you slap them?
Yeah, hell yeah. No. I think you should. I think that's the proper response.
What about Chappelle? That incident.
If anyone knew who the fuck I was, I'd be tiptoeing very lightly, but luckily nobody knows who I am, so who cares?
Yeah. And it's only my mom listening, so.
Right. Yeah, we're good. We're fine.
Yeah.
I think this kind of ties back into what we were saying before. First of all, I don't think that anyone should. I mean, I don't know a lot about. I know he was. What did this was this guy trying to kill him? What was the circumstance?
Well, it was a fake plastic knife, so it wasn't a real knife.
Oh, okay. So he went on stage with the fake plastic knife. Okay, I didn't read a lot about this. And tackled him.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, still, that's pretty fucking dangerous, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's just because it's a plastic knife doesn't mean the whole thing is like benign, right?
Right.
You can just,
Right. You're going to take it as if it was a real knife.
Sure.
Yeah.
As you should. I think that there are people who are going to take what you're, unfortunately, again, this ties back into what we were saying before, who are going to take what you're saying. It's either going to motivate them to, I don't want to say it's either or. There are people who are just going to be like, it's a fucking joke and, it's a joke and let's move on with our lives. There are those people. But I think you have to play for your lowest common denominator. And in this case, I think you have people who are very emotional about some of the things that he's saying on stage.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. I think that they're completely justified in being emotional. But what you do with that emotion, I think most people would agree that acting out emotionally is usually not a great idea. Right.
Yeah.
But we're human. Yeah. And when we get emotional about stuff, like that's just the way we're built. We go in that direction.
Yeah.
So I think people are very emotional about some of the things that he said and are reacting either in like in an affirming way, affirming what he's saying, which is causing unfortunate things, which is not the right word, but is causing things to happen in the LGBTQ community.
Yeah,
that are really shitty and sad. And then you have people who are going to react against him and come back on him for the things that he's saying. You got to remember, there are people who just it's not a fucking joke to them. And that's the question that we have to, I think that's the question that we have to ask. And this is is what you're saying causing real world harm? That's the biggest question. And if what you're saying is causing real world harm, then you got to really think about what you're saying. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? And I'm sick to death of the whole bad apples argument, right? There are too many examples of shit happening, really tragic shit happening that, I'm not coming with a solution. I don't know what the fucking solution is, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if what do we do about this? How do we change it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. All I know is that it's an important question to ask, to go, all right, should I maybe dial this back a little bit? For the safety and well-being of my fellow human beings.
Yeah,
I think and personally, yeah, there's plenty of shit you can talk about that aren't putting other people in jeopardy.
Yeah,
right.
Get more creative. Yeah, I agree with that.
There's no need to as George Carlin would say, you punch up, you don't punch down.
Yeah.
So you want to go after people? You want to really go after people? Go after people go after the people who are causing real world harm. The
religion?
fucking, well, corporations are people, right? Shit like that, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's what you should be going after. Go after those motherfuckers.
Yeah.
That you have a voice. You have an audience. You have all of these things. You have so much power at your disposal. Use it for good, man.
Yeah.
Steal from the rich and give to the poor, man. Robin Hood this fucking shit. That's what I think. And I'm no expert. I'm just some 40-year-old fucking single dude with a cat.
Yeah.
So take it from a 40-year-old single guy with a cat.
Hey, that's good enough for me, buddy.
Yeah.
Well,
what do you think?
About Chappelle?
I'm sure you've talked about this, plenty of times, but
like I was telling you earlier, it's the climate we're in right now. It's you have to watch what you say, and you say, well, you got to be responsible, and what you say, and take responsibility for what you say. And, there's so many outlets where you could see this sort of thing. TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. You were, pissed off that you only got a certain amount of likes.
Right. Should be thousands at this point.
So there's so many places where somebody could listen to something and be offended. And so there's like, there's a lot more places to get your voice out right now. So it could be overwhelming taking in all this information. I think us as humans right now, we're taking in too much information and we can't even deal with it.
I agree, 100%. I mean, you know that I'm a huge music guy, right? So I kind of look at a lot of this stuff through the lens of music. So one of the bands that I grew up with called Glassjaw, and this will kind of tie into the comedy part of this, but their first album is very, like, the lyrics are pretty harsh, like pretty, misogynistic. However, when you know the story and you know what, the lead singer, Daryl, what he was going through at the time. So he's got Crohn's disease. He was 18. He was like 17 years old when he wrote these lyrics, right? Had a girlfriend, got diagnosed with Crohn's, was in the hospital, was just like at death's door, very, very sick, down to 80 pounds, just, throwing up and, doing all kinds of, everything was coming out of his he had to have part of his intestines removed. Like, it was bad. Yeah. Had a girlfriend left him during this time because she didn't want to deal with all the things he was going through. He wrote a lot of songs about that period of time in his life and how devastating that was for him to be in this situation that he was in with his health in jeopardy. And then he's got this woman that he's like relying on for emotional support, and she leaves him, and it's just like, that's what art is for, right? He wrote songs. That's what he did. He was a 17-year-old kid, scared, angry, lonely, and he wrote music. Now, I mean, he's, still around. He's like in his 40s now. If you're watching, Daryl, I love you. You're amazing. Now, the things that he says, which I'll go on the record and say the things that he says are not cool things. He doesn't talk about doing anything violent, but he says a lot of things that I don't agree with and are not cool. What's important is he was not talking about anybody but this person. The lyrics that he wrote were about, it was the anger and the loneliness and all of the shit that he was going through. It was directed at this person. That doesn't make it okay, but you have people that are coming in and coming in the door and going, well, he's talking about women. Like, no, he's not talking about women. He's talking about a person who did something really, she has her reasons for doing what she did, but at that age, can anyone empathize with that? What that must have been like for a 17, 18-year-old kid who's at death's door, who was just going through all the things that he was going through. And in my opinion, he did the right thing, right? He sat down and he did this. Yeah. He didn't go hurt anybody. He didn't go doing it. He didn't go commit any, heinous acts. He sat at a table and he wrote on notebook paper and he wrote down lyrics. I think that was the right decision under the circumstances with everything that he was dealing with. Yeah.
He didn't grab a gun. He didn't go to her work. No. He didn't beat her up. No. Yeah.
He sat down with a pen and paper and he did this. Yeah. That's what art is supposed to be, right? Yeah. That's the whole point. As in, if you go back to we were just talking about Italy, you go back and, look at people like,
Leonardo,
Donatello, Raphael. But no, you go back and you look at, Dante Alighieri. I'm going to mess it up, like Dante's Inferno. But you go back and look at like Dante and you look at people like, writing poetry, dealing with these things that they're dealing with. Same difference, back at in those times, I want to say this right. Alighieri. I don't know. I'm like, but anyway, anyone knows, Divine Comedy, Dante's Inferno, whatever. But the responsible thing to do now, so that story, so the responsible thing to do now, and they've done it, Glassjaw, they don't play the stuff anymore. They don't play that shit because they understand this is where you get responsible with what you're saying. they understand. Daryl understands, the band understands that now, right now, the stuff that they said back then, I mean, well, a couple things. Number one, you're talking about a 43-year-old man compared to an 18-year-old kid. So your mindset is completely different, obviously. But also, they understand that like this is not shit that you need to be saying, because people are going to take it in a way that it was not intended to be taken. And that's important.
Yeah.
Responsible.
Yeah.
Be responsible.
Yeah. Yeah. That's well said.
Yeah.
Well said. And yeah, it's a great way to look at it, you know.
But we were saying earlier, we were talking about the, you know, in the beginning, going to the, I know you said you want to talk about this, going to the Comedy Store and, you know, the improv and just kind of going, because people that are watching this or listening to this that aren't comics, that know that
you got a network.
You got a network with anything.
Yeah.
You know, anything in this industry.
Right.
You got a network, go get in front of people, you know, shake hands, kiss babies.
Kiss babies.
You know.
Give reach arounds.
All that shit.
Just me?
All the shit.
Okay.
Hey man, well that's why you have the podcast. that's why you have the podcast and I don't. Because you're taking it a step further.
Yeah. I moisturize my
You're going that extra mile.
Yeah. I care.
Yes, I know you do.
Yeah, no, I never liked that side of stand-up comedy, you know, or acting, or, you know, it's just like what I was saying earlier. I got into stand-up comedy to go up and tell jokes.
Right.
Be funny.
Yeah.
Not, you know, pretend like this guy is cool and I got to talk to him to get a spot.
Yeah. It's weird, right? Because like it makes you like not want to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a necessary part of it.
Yeah.
But it's just like, it's like we were saying before we got on the podcast, that like the only way that's going to change is if people stop doing it.
Yeah.
Right. And your success is based upon how funny you are. I mean, I know it's a pie in the sky fucking dream, right? Uh-huh. Because we both know it's not necessarily how funny you are. It's, you know, how good are you at networking? Right. And the people that are really good they're both.
Yeah.
They're great performers, they're great writers, and they're great at networking.
Yeah.
They're good at all of those things.
Right.
And so when they get the opportunity, you know, they network and they get their spots and stuff. And then when they're ready and they do a really good job.
Yeah.
So it's those people. And you can, I mean, if you're an amazing, and even so, like if you're an amazing networker and an okay comic, you're going to do okay.
Yeah.
Like you're going to have a pretty good career.
Yeah.
The point being, like, the networking is like, that's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the key to the door.
Yeah. Yeah.
The rest of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
You know?
Right.
And I said before, you know, somebody like yourself, I mean, I think you're incredibly funny. And you've had, like all of us, you know, have had your ups and downs in your career, but what you should, you should be in fucking Joe Rogan's spot. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I think. And you're also a very, like, insightful, sensitive guy, you know, unlike, well, anyway, I'm not going to get into that. But I think that, but you know, you've had a good career.
Yeah.
But based on how talented you are, it should be, you know, miles beyond.
Yeah.
You know.
So,
and that's not to disparage what you've done, because you've done a lot.
Thanks.
But, you know.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. It's just the way, it's just nature of the beast.
Yeah.
You know, and like, and going out there and spending time, it's just such a rough environment to begin with.
Yeah.
You know, and it only gets harder as you get older.
It does. It's like a young man's hustle.
It is.
Because you could roll off that guy, you know, I guess bear, like you were saying, you know, like I'm 40 now, you know, I can't pretend to, you know, make this guy seem interesting when I'm like talking to him. Right.
No.
Or like, you're just like, you're too old for that shit.
Yeah.
And I feel the same way, you know what I mean? And, life is too short, and, all the rest of those cliches. But, you know, the pandemic, you know, said, hey, you know, this could be a lot shorter than you think. And do you really want to be wasting your time with, you know, people you don't really care about?
Totally. You know, I think that it allows you to feel it like, I can speak for myself here and say that, like, out of all of the people the dozens and dozens of comics that I've, you know, known over the past 11 years that I've been doing this, and really almost everybody without exception, I've been like, oh, this, if you would have asked me, you know, 5-6 years ago, I'd be like, oh, that's a friend of mine. Right.
Yeah.
But you stop going, you stop showing up at the store, right? You stop showing up at the Improv. And then how many of those people are still there?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
How many are real friends, you know,
Right.
like you, and, you know, there's a handful of people that I'm still in contact with out of the, you know, dozens and dozens of people that I thought were friends. Same thing with like drinking, right? You know, you get sober and then all of your friends that you used to meet at the bar, then it's like, all right, well,
yeah,
what else do we have in common?
Right.
Other than this thing,
Right.
that we're showing up to the same place all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, it's like you realize what that relationship is worth, frankly. And sometimes it's ugly. You know, you get to the end of it and you're like, oh man, that wasn't really what I thought it was.
Yeah.
You know, plus you're dealing with people, as you kind of said in the beginning, you're dealing with people who maybe are just like, as comics, we're just, you know, we're wearing our crazy, you know, right there.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the old fucking, the old punk rock thing, you know, please kill me, you know, the t-shirt. Like, do you know about that? Like, there's a book called Please Kill Me. Yeah. I forget who the singer was in the band, but he used to wear a t-shirt on stage that had a target on it that said, please kill me.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess the comment would be please kill. But yeah, so tell me, I'm gonna interview you for a second. What did you, seeing Rome for the first time, what was that like for you?
It was like I was in a movie, like I was on set, you know, as an actor, right?
Sure.
We're on pretty extravagant sets, man.
Yeah.
You know, timepieces,
right,
where they transformed the set to make it look like the 1920s.
Yeah.
You know, I was on a set like that, and the clothing, even down to the clothing, man. I mean, production, man, if they got deep pockets, man, they could really transform. Even if they don't have deep pockets, if they're very extremely creative and they have a, you know, good group of people that's involved in the project, they could transform, you know, that space, your hair, the makeup, everything to that, you know, and put you there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, you know,
it's like you were at a fucking Mission Impossible movie or some shit, right?
It was.
Or like Jason Bourne or some shit.
Yeah. No, dude, it's like Venice too, man. Venice.
Never been. I didn't make it over there. No.
Yeah. I'm like, is this real? Like,
crazy.
This is ridiculous, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, for somebody that's has ADD, you know, places like Rome and Venice are like awesome for us, because anywhere you look, because we're constantly distracted, there's something beautiful to see. Like in our, just like in that corner. How did somebody get that sculpture in the corner and paint that little, you know, nook? God, dude. You know what I mean? You're like,
and you didn't get to the Forum. You didn't get to the Roman Forum, man.
No,
that is just, dude. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I mean, I had the same experience. You know, you're walking around and you're like, this is a real place. And especially for us, it's really interesting for people, for West Coasters, right? Because we have our history here is like, we don't have any. I mean, we do, but we killed everybody.
Yeah. 150 years old.
You know, but we don't have, I mean, even on the East Coast, you have, and you know, like being from Chicago, like I said you were from California earlier. I don't remember why I did that, but you've been here long enough. You might as well be.
22 years.
22 years. So, and I've been here for, the same for 22 years. So when, from Northern California though, but like even back East, even on the East Coast, you've got some history, right?
Yeah.
Like way more than we have here.
Yeah.
So for me going over there, I'm just like, holy shit. You walk around it's like you're in a museum.
Yeah.
You're walking through you're like the museum. You're in an outdoor museum.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're like living in it.
Right.
It's so fucking weird.
It is. Like this is like streets where people went walking, before Christ.
I know. It's fucking crazy, man. And it's weird now because like I have so many, the picture I had in my mind. Did you have like a picture in your mind of what it was going to be like, right? Were you kind of thinking like, this is how it's going to be? Did you do that at all? Or were you just like, I'm going to let it just kind of wash over me when I get there?
Well, I was just in Vegas like 2 weeks before.
Oh, so you saw Paris, so you're
Venetian.
fine. Oh, you're at the Venetian, so you knew what it was going to be like.
Dude, I mean, and props to the people that constructed those places in Vegas, man, because they made it fucking, pretty close,
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like pretty, because all I kept thinking is, wow, this kind of looks like Vegas,
You were thinking you all look like Vegas.
Well, in a way,
Jesus Christ.
Excuse me. So, I mean, just being, an actor and being on these sets, man, it's just, and like I said, I've been to Vegas plenty of times.
Yeah.
And that's what I know of, Venice is the Venetian. Paris is what I know of Paris. And I haven't been to France, but it's going to be hard to get that out of my mind. Oh, that looks like Paris in Vegas.
That's really fascinating.
Yeah.
That you feel like that there's like a little bit that you got a little bit of that experience.
Yeah. Well, I mean, haven't you ever been
strange.
On a period piece, acting where, wow, they got you in these clothes or maybe it's not but you're like, wow, this is like super realistic.
Yeah. I think
and
that
it's
there's
a little trippy.
Yeah. I have, for me now, I have this, it's strange, right? Because I had I went to so many places. I went to like 22 different places. I went to, Rome, Siena, Pisa, Lucca, Florence, Naples, Ischia, fucking Salerno, Amalfi, Ravello, Positano, Matera, Lecce, Bari, like so many, Polignano Amare, so many places.
He's just reading off a menu.
Right.
Italian
exactly.
restaurant.
Calamari. No, but I had a vision I had a vision in my head of what it was going to look like and what it was going to be like. And it was nothing like I thought. Nowhere. There was not a single place I went that I was like, oh, this is how I thought it was going to be. Nowhere. But what's weird now is I have my actual experience in my imagined experience living in my head at the same time. Because I can't, you would think that I'd be able to let go of the imaginary, how I thought it was going to be. And that would be replaced with how it actually was. But it's not. They're both kind of like in a little bit of a bit of a fight. Yeah.
Huh, that's strange.
Yeah. There's still a part that I'm like, oh, it could be this way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, everyone, it's like people tell you shit. And, like I was told when I went down to Naples, people were like, oh, they're not going to understand they speak Neapolitan. They're not going to understand regular Italian. I was like, oh, really? And they're like, people in North and like Florence and shit. They're like, they're not going to understand you down there. I was like, that can't be true. Right. And I went down there and I was like a little bit, and I'm like, God, fuck, what am I going to do right there? Because I've spent all this time like learning this language and like, no one's going to understand me. Bullshit. 100% bullshit.
Yeah.
And I stayed in a place called the Spanish Quarter in Naples, right? So the people that know Naples were just like, oh, dude, you're staying in the Spanish Quarter? Watch out. Because Naples, it has this reputation of being a really a really dangerous city.
Really?
Yeah. Especially in Italy. By the way, fucking Rome is more dangerous than Naples is, and so is Milan. Milan's more dangerous too, but that's neither here nor there. But anyway, Naples has this reputation, and part of the reason is because it's very authentic. There's not a lot of tourists, not nearly as much as you're going to get in Rome or Milan or Venice. And so people are like, when people are unfamiliar with shit, then they start going down the rabbit hole of like, oh, it's weird, it's dangerous, whatever. You know, it's like it's like we as human beings, we try to make sense of shit.
Yeah.
And so the way we make sense of shit is to label it.
Right.
That's our way.
Yeah.
If we label something, then we feel like, oh, well, now I know about it.
Right.
And that's kind of how it is, right? So I was told, you know, yeah, they're not gonna understand you, and it's really dangerous and all this stuff. Dude, nothing that I was told was true.
Yeah.
Nothing. None of that happened.
That's why you should take everything with a grain of salt. You know what I mean? You know, people say, you know, Mexico's dangerous and this and that, and the cartels and this and that. It's like, you know, people want to, you know, hear what they want to hear. And, you know, sometimes people just talk out of their ass and, you know, they make it seem like it's real. Why don't you go and find out? And that's exactly what you did. And I love that. You know,
I wasn't about to stay away from these places that, it's ironic. My favorite places that I went were the places that Italians said to me. They're like, "Where are you going?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to, you know, Salerno." And they're like, "Oh, I'll say it. I'll try to not be fancy. I'll just say it. I'm going to go to Salerno, right?" And so Italians are like, "Oh," I'm like, "What do you think of Salerno?" They're like, I don't really like it. It's, you know, it's not that interesting, and it's kind of weird and kind of dangerous, right?" Loved it. Loved Salerno. Same thing for where I flew home from, Bari or Bari, but Bari, same thing. Oh, what do you think of Bari? It's kind of, you know, like it's, you know, this. Fucking loved it.
Yeah.
Without fail, the places that people told me I was not going to like and that were going to be weird or dangerous or whatever, all the labels, all the shit that they said were my favorite places. You know,
so what did that teach you? Like not to ask, or still ask, but take what they say with a grain of salt?
I think there's a lot of really good, I mean, obviously I would rather listen to Italians talk about their country than, you know, than Americans talk about what it's like to be in Italy. But I think it's all really good information. But what's really cool about them in general, Italians in my experiences, is that they're not like us in terms of, we're happy to like talk about shitty cities, right? Like somebody would say, like, if somebody, even your hometown, even Chicago, right? If somebody's like, "Yeah, man, I'm thinking of going to Chicago," you might, I'm not going to like put words in your mouth, but you might be like, "Yeah, Chicago's cool. It's fucking, you know, it's dangerous."
Yeah.
You know, like, and you would be able to talk about your experiences and like, we don't have that. We don't have that pride for our country.
We just like complaining.
They would never do something like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Take
We're
it
going to wrap
as you
this
will.
up.
Yeah.
But I want to hear more about your trip to Italy, and I will have you back on the podcast.
Yeah,
man.
we'll
Thank
talk
you
about
for
it some
doing
more.
this.
Thanks for having me,
we're
man.
Actually,
Great to see you.
Have some beer over here on the west side, man, right?
We're going to go to George Lopez's penthouse. No. We're going to some bar that he owns, I suppose.
Yeah. So, dude, I think you're super talented.
Thanks, man.
Yeah,
Feel the same about you.
Yeah, thank you, man. Yeah, we produced a comedy show for a short while on the west side. Yeah. You know, it's been a pleasure, you know, doing stand up with you and working with you.
You're one of the best dudes I know.
Thank you, man.
Bar none.
Likewise.
Not just a comic, just as a human being. You're an awesome guy.
I appreciate it, man.
You know, I'm happy that you're doing well, you're happy, and I'm just, dude, it just makes me smile, dude. And I'm just happy that you're happy.
Likewise, man. That's why, you know, I could bring up, you know, your divorce and see how
Please bring it up again.
Grown out of it, you know what I mean? And like that, you're not going to be defined by that. No. You know, I knew you before this, and I knew you after it. You know what I mean? And we constantly, you know, you're like the Italian wine, you know, getting better with age.
Hey, man, these experiences, man, they make you who you are. It's the tough experiences that make you who you are. And
absolutely
wouldn't have done any of the things that I've done over this, you know, over this past year without that. So, man, I guess, like, to end on a positive note, the most challenging things that we deal with, those are the things to be the most grateful for, because that's what makes you. That's what makes you who you are.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if people want to look you up and find you, where can they find you?
Yeah, all my social medias, it's at Shaebo, ShaeBowe, and my Twitter, my Instagram, my Facebook, all of my things. Usually, at home with my cat. You can look
What's
in the
your
window.
cat's name?
My cat's name is Pocket.
Nice.
He has an Instagram too. His Instagram is at Pocket Bowers. And if you're gonna follow, if you're gonna throw a follow out there, follow the cat.
Follow the cat.
Follow the cat. Don't follow me. Follow the cat. It's a way better. It's a way better follow.
All right, Shaelan Bowers. Thanks, thank you for coming by,
man.
buddy. It's always
you,
good
buddy.
to see you.